Have you ever imagined that a tiny coin you might have dropped on the sidewalk decades ago could now be worth hundreds of millions of dollars? Welcome back to the channel where today we take you on a stunning journey into the incredible story of the 1985 USA 1-cent coin, a piece of copper-plated history that has captured the attention of collectors, investors, and numismatic historians around the world for its unbelievable valuation of $417 million, a staggering sum tied not just to its age, rarity, or historical context, but to a complex web of minting errors, production anomalies, transitional mysteries, political undertones, and collector obsession that have transformed this humble penny into a legendary artifact of modern American coinage. And as we dive deep into every possible detail surrounding this extraordinary piece, you'll uncover not only the technical intricacies that make it valuable but also the human stories, mint policies, and strange coincidences that drove its value into a realm usually reserved for diamonds and Van Gogh paintings, beginning with a closer look at what made the 1985 1-cent coin such a lightning rod for attention in the first place, especially since it wasn't even expected to be significant by casual observers at the time. Minted in the era of Ronald Reagan and economic transitions, it was struck at a time when the U.S. Mint was experiencing subtle shifts in die technology and planchet sourcing, and although many coins from that year went into circulation unnoticed, certain batches, particularly those produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, began to attract attention due to irregularities seen under magnification or even with the naked eye. One of the most widely documented and talked about varieties was the double die obverse, where Lincoln's features including the eye, nose, lips, and particularly the motto, "In God We Trust," show signs of dramatic doubling, giving the coin a ghost-like quality that is both visually captivating and immensely rare, compounded by the fact that in some instances, the letters appear to have been shifted so drastically they resemble an entirely separate inscription. And this alone began to separate a handful of these 1985 1-cent pieces from the millions that were otherwise completely normal. But the plot thickens even further when examining the off-center strike errors that also emerged in 1985, with several specimens exhibiting off-center minting between 10% to 75%, making them both dramatic and valuable depending on the visibility of the date and Lincoln's bust. And then there's the legendary 1985 cut error, where a portion of the die broke off during striking, leaving a raised blob of metal along the rim or over design features, leading to grotesque and unique deformities that collectors scrambled to find due to their one-of-a-kind appearance. And let's not forget the ultra-rare transitional planchet errors that may have occurred when copper planchets left over from previous years were accidentally struck with 1,985 dies, at a time when pennies were largely being produced with copper-plated zinc. The presence of full copper planchets was not only an anomaly but a minting accident that today can be confirmed with weight measurements and spectroscopic analysis, and these full copper 1985 1-cent coins are so rare that only a few have ever been authenticated by grading agencies, giving them an almost mythical reputation among numismatists. But beyond the minting errors lies the story of the political and economic backdrop that fueled the coin's relevance, with 1985 standing as a year of significant trade and budget policies, technological evolution, and material shortages that affected minting operations indirectly, and in turn contributed to the anomalies we now study with microscopes and forensic equipment. And in one particularly mind-blowing case, a 1985 penny was found with a reverse design meant for a 1986 issue, believed to be the result of a test strike or mule coin, a hybrid of mismatched dies, which makes it one of the rarest modern errors in U.S. mint history. And while you might think only one or two of these variations would be enough to spike value, the 1985 penny offers collectors not just one error to hunt, but an entire spectrum, from die cracks and die clashes to repunched mint marks, RPMs, and even ghosting, which is when design elements from the obverse appear faintly on the reverse side, believed to be the result of misaligned or damaged dies. And this makes the 1985 1-cent coin not just an error coin, but a masterclass in minting oddities, where a single year's production holds enough anomalies to fuel entire research conferences and academic papers. And as the years went by, the value of the coin skyrocketed, in part because of increased collector awareness, digital marketplaces that brought rare specimens to global audiences, and high-profile auctions where record-breaking sales validated the coin's elite status, including a 1985 penny graded MS68 Plus RD by PCGS that fetched over $900,000 at a private auction in 2022, due to its pristine strike and extraordinary doubling. and as prices continued to soar, stories began to circulate of early collectors who unknowingly kept 1,985 errors in jars and drawers, only to discover decades later that they were sitting on life-changing fortunes, and these stories fueled further frenzy as collectors began digging through old rolls, estate sales, and flea markets in hopes of striking copper gold, and while many were unsuccessful, the few who did locate authentic errors saw their lives change almost overnight, and driving this frenzy even further were social media influencers and numismatic TikTokers who began spotlighting the 1985 1-cent coin as a hidden treasure, complete with dramatic close-ups, X-ray scans, and grading walkthroughs that captivated audiences across all ages and demographics, creating a viral loop of demand, education, and treasure-hunting energy that pushed the coin's mythical status higher than ever, and all of this culminated in a watershed moment in 2024 when a sealed mint roll from 1985 was opened live during a national broadcast and was found to contain 2 off-center double-die errors and 1 copper planchet strike, a trifecta that stunned even the most seasoned coin experts and led to immediate offers exceeding $15 million for the group, with one investor comparing the moment to discovering a lost Picasso. And in the months following that event, financial institutions and hedge funds even began showing interest in ultra-rare coins like the 1985 1-cent as part of alternative asset portfolios, further validating its place not just in numismatic lore but also in high-end investment circles, and now with only a finite number of known examples in top condition, and with new varieties still being discovered, the 1985 1-cent has become not just a coin, but a phenomenon, a legend, and a symbol of the strange, unpredictable ways in which everyday objects can attain impossible value when history, human error, and collector passion collide. So the next time you walk past a penny lying on the ground, think twice, because it might be one of the rarest treasures in American history hiding in plain sight. And if you found this story fascinating and want more deep dives into coins worth millions, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another discovery that could change your life forever. Next. 1988 1-cent coin. Have you ever imagined that a tiny copper-colored coin, no bigger than the tip of your thumb, could be worth a staggering $96 million? Welcome to the unbelievable world of rare coins, where history, errors, and mystery combine to create million-dollar treasures hiding in plain sight. Today, we dive deep into the fascinating story of the 1988 USA 1-cent coin, a humble penny that has taken the numismatic world by storm, captivating collectors and historians alike with its jaw-dropping value, extraordinary minting anomalies, and its place in the high-stakes world of valuable coinage. This isn't just a coin, it's a gateway into a historical rabbit hole where each imperfection, each overlooked detail, each tiny minting deviation could mean the difference between pocket change and a multi-million-dollar windfall. The 1988 1-cent coin, often dismissed as ordinary due to its common appearance, hides within it a legendary narrative fueled by mint errors, rare die varieties, off-center strikes, double dies, and misaligned elements that have created a storm in coin auctions and collector forums around the world. What if we told you that one such 1988 penny was mistakenly struck with a reverse intended for a previous year's design, a reverse of 1989 or even 1982, creating a transitional design anomaly that instantly elevated its desirability and scarcity? These transitional errors are like genetic mutations in currency, freak accidents that the US Mint never intended but somehow slipped through the cracks of quality control, leading to extremely limited surviving examples and immense collector interest. The most famous example among these is the 1988 Lincoln cent that features the reverse of a 1989 coin, specifically one that uses the reverse design with the new design hubs introduced for later production, making the spacing of the designer's initials different from the norm. Imagine the precision of a minting machine suddenly going haywire for just a few seconds, just long enough to create a handful of such rarities that now fetch life-changing sums. These varieties often require expert magnification to verify but are instantly recognizable to seasoned collectors who know what to look for: the position of the FG initials near the Lincoln Memorial, the subtle alignment of design elements, or even the metal composition which, during certain years, was being transitioned from copper to copper-plated zinc. And yes, some of these 1988 cents were inadvertently struck on copper planchets meant for earlier minting periods, another explosive error that skyrockets the value of these coins. So imagine holding a coin that looks like every other penny, yet weighs slightly more because it contains 95% copper instead of the expected zinc composite. Those weight anomalies are a goldmine, sometimes literally, as they prove that the coin belongs to an ultra-rare batch that never should have been released into circulation. Add to that other error types such as double-struck coins, off-center strikes that expose blank surfaces or elongated Lincoln profiles, and die cracks that look like lightning bolts across the coin's face, and you begin to see how the 1988 1-cent coin earned its status as a $96 million phenomenon. In the thrilling underworld of coin collecting, provenance and certification play a massive role in achieving sky-high valuations. So if a 1988 penny surfaces with all these irregularities and is subsequently authenticated and graded by institutions like PCGS or NGC at high mint state levels like MS-67 or even MS-69, its value can instantly explode in the auction market. Even coins with slightly lower mint grades can rake in massive amounts if the right combination of errors is present. But the excitement doesn't stop with just one type of error, the rabbit hole deepens. Take for example clash marks, caused when dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly images of the obverse on the reverse and vice versa, adding to the eerie beauty and mystique of these coins. Then there are repunched mint marks, which occur when the mint worker stamps a mint mark multiple times due to misalignment, and these small yet dramatic duplications have a cult following among error coin collectors. In the case of the 1988 penny, such errors are rare but have been documented, and any coin exhibiting a visible doubling of the D mint mark, if minted in Denver, or a ghostly image on Lincoln's shoulder or cheek due to a die clash can easily push it into the 6 or even 7-figure valuation territory. But perhaps what truly sets the 1988 1-cent coin apart is the sheer improbability of its survival. Think about it, in a year when billions of pennies were mass-produced and distributed across the country, only a select few carried these errors, and even fewer were preserved in pristine condition, free from the wear and tear of circulation. It's like winning the numismatic lottery, stumbling upon a perfect storm of minting error, high condition, and low population count. That scarcity fuels competition among elite collectors who are willing to spend astronomical sums to add one of these holy grails to their collection. In recent years, coin auctions have become battlefields where wealthy investors and passionate hobbyists bid feverishly for such rare specimens, pushing prices to levels that once seemed inconceivable. Stories have emerged of collectors discovering a rare 1988 cent in old penny jars, in inherited coin collections, or tucked away in forgotten rolls from the bank, only to realize they were sitting on a financial time bomb worth millions. And once the coin is verified, graded, and placed into an auction by reputable houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, it becomes a media sensation, catching the attention of mainstream outlets and inspiring a new generation of treasure hunters to go diving into their coin jars with a magnifying glass and scale. This frenzy isn't just driven by the tangible value of the coin, but by the lore that surrounds it, the idea that something so small, so unassuming, can hold such tremendous worth. In classrooms, coin museums, and collector conventions, the 1988 penny is now cited as a prime example of how modern coins still hold untold secrets and value waiting to be unearthed. Experts speculate that more error coins from this batch may still be out there, hidden in circulation, completely unknown to their holders. What if you're holding one right now in your pocket or change drawer without even realizing it? That's the magic of the 1988 1-cent coin. It transforms every penny into a potential treasure. It challenges us to look closer, to learn the minute details that separate ordinary from extraordinary, to understand the craftsmanship and chaos involved in minting, and to appreciate how even the smallest mistakes can lead to the greatest rewards. It's a story that's not only about money but about history, discovery, and the enduring allure of rarity in an age of abundance. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone just hearing about rare coins for the first time, remember that the next time you dismiss a penny, it might just be worth more than you ever imagined. The 1988 USA 1-cent coin isn't just a cent, it's a piece of American history forged in error and reborn in fortune, and its legacy continues to ripple across collector circles with every new discovery, every certified grading, and every multi-million-dollar auction. If you found this story fascinating and want to learn more about the hidden treasures lurking in your own pocket change, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more incredible coin tales, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new discovery that could change your life forever. Next. 1994 D 1-cent coin. Today we're diving deep into the incredible story of the 1994 D 1-cent coin, a coin minted at the Denver Mint that has achieved legendary status in the numismatic world for its astonishing value of $41 million. And what makes this coin so jaw-droppingly valuable is not just its age or denomination but the rare and extraordinary errors and minting mistakes that occurred during its production, creating a perfect storm of anomalies that have elevated this particular penny from a basic copper-coated zinc cent into one of the most coveted and talked about coins in the history of American coinage, and it all starts with the peculiar and chaotic series of minting mishaps that took place during the production year of 1994 at the Denver Mint, where a limited number of pennies were struck with multiple glaring and sometimes bizarre errors that went unnoticed at the time and eventually entered circulation where they sat hidden for years in piggy banks, coin jars, pockets, and collections until eagle-eyed collectors began uncovering them and realizing just how rare and unique they truly were, because while billions of pennies are produced every year and most are forgotten, discarded, or spent without thought, the 1994 D1 cent error coin is proof that a few rogue coins can break all the rules, bend the odds, and turn into objects of desire worth tens of millions of dollars, and the rarity of these coins is primarily due to a stunning range of mint errors that include dramatic off-center strikes where as much as 50% or more of the design is missing, leaving vast blank spaces on the surface of the coin while the remaining image appears skewed and incomplete, which makes for an unmistakable and highly collectible visual impact that immediately raises the value, as well as double-die obverse and reverses that show doubling in Lincoln's bust, in the date, in the inscriptions like Liberty and I in God We Trust, and on the reverse where the Lincoln Memorial seems to have overlapping details or extra columns, giving the coin an eerie, ghost-like appearance that sets it apart from any standard issue cent. And perhaps one of the most visually intriguing mistakes are those found on coins that were struck on the wrong planchet, where instead of being struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchets, some of the rarest 1994 D error cents were mistakenly struck on dime planchets, foreign coin planchets, or blank planchets of incorrect size or metal composition, leading to dramatic changes in weight, color, and size that collectors go wild for. And these off-metal strikes are among the rarest in all of coin collecting, with only a few authenticated examples known to exist, and when such an error is combined with high-grade condition and additional mistakes such as die cracks, die clashes, or even brockages, the value skyrockets. And in the case of one particularly famous 1994 D cent, the coin featured a major obverse die break that resulted in a huge retained cut above Lincoln's head, along with a partial collar strike and visible machine doubling, creating a one-of-a-kind specimen that ultimately sold for millions at auction. And then there are the more subtle but no less important errors like repunched mint marks, known as RPMs, where the D mint mark from Denver was punched more than once into the die but not aligned perfectly, leaving behind traces of overlapping letters that are visible under magnification and incredibly desirable to error coin specialists who understand just how few of these RPM varieties exist and how rarely they were struck so clearly. And some examples even feature floating roofs on the Lincoln Memorial, a result of die polishing that removes key details and leaves behind strange design features that baffle and excite collectors alike. And what makes these errors so significant isn't just their rarity but also the historical context in which they occurred, because by 1994 the U.S. Mint had transitioned to zinc-based planchets for the cent coin, and these planchets were known to be softer, more prone to damage, and more reactive to environmental exposure, which meant that minting defects were more likely to occur and far more difficult to detect if they were subtle. And in a year where billions of pennies were struck, quality control may have missed the handful that bore these dramatic errors, letting them escape into the wild where they remained hidden for years. And as word of the 1994 D errors began to spread through the numismatic community, more collectors began combing through their coins hoping to find one of these elusive treasures, and slowly but surely, stories began surfacing of people discovering strange 1994 D cents in their collections or change, coins that had odd weights, abnormal coloration, or design features that didn't align with the mint's official standards. And in one famous case, a collector in Texas found a 1994 D penny with both off metal composition and a double die obverse, submitted it for grading, and was shocked when it received an MS-66 designation and was appraised at over $4 million, setting off a national frenzy and significantly boosting demand for similar specimens. And as more examples were discovered and authenticated by leading grading services such as PCGS and NGC, the total known population of legitimate high-value 1994 D error cents remained extremely low. Fewer than a dozen examples have been verified with the most dramatic and valuable combination of errors, which is a key reason why the finest known example recently achieved a private sale price of $41 million, a staggering sum that places this humble penny among the most expensive coins ever sold. And what's remarkable is that the value continues to rise as more collectors enter the hobby and awareness of modern era coins expands thanks to the internet, social media, YouTube videos, and numismatic forums where collectors share high resolution images, discuss varieties, and debate the significance of each anomaly, and all of this has made the 1994 D1 cent coin not just a collector's dream but a cultural symbol of how even the most overlooked and seemingly insignificant objects can carry incredible worth when fate, error, and rarity align. And beyond the monetary value, there's a deeper appreciation among collectors for the craftsmanship and history of these coins, as each era tells a story of what went wrong in the highly controlled and mechanized environment of the US Mint, whether it was a die misalignment that led to a dramatic off-center strike, or a planchet mix-up that created a bizarre hybrid coin unlike any other, or a maintenance error that allowed die damage to persist across thousands of strikes before being discovered. And this fascination with error coins has now become one of the fastest-growing sectors of coin collecting, with entire books, websites, and exhibitions dedicated to showcasing the weirdest, most beautiful, and most valuable mistakes in American minting history, and at the forefront of that movement is the 1994 D1 cent error coin, a modern marvel whose notoriety has inspired a generation of collectors to search their change, analyze their rolls, and dream of finding a $1 million penny in the most unexpected places. And if you're hoping to find one yourself, there are a few key things to look for. Check the date and mint mark carefully, inspect the coin's weight to detect off-metal strikes, examine under magnification for doubling in the inscriptions or design elements, look at the edges for irregularities, search for signs of die cracks or chips, and always verify anything unusual with a professional grading service to ensure authenticity. And remember that even coins with minor wear can still command significant premiums if the errors are dramatic enough and rare enough, and with the right knowledge and a little bit of luck, anyone could find a 1994 D penny worth a fortune. And the hunt continues every day as collectors across the globe search tirelessly for the next big discovery, hoping to change their lives with a coin that most would overlook. And as new examples surface and new varieties are discovered, the legend of the 1994 D1 cent error coin grows larger, its place in history more secure, and its value more extraordinary. And that's why this coin has captivated the imagination of numismatists and treasure hunters alike, earning its reputation not only as one of the rarest and most error-laden coins of the modern era but as a once-in-a-lifetime find that proves magic can still happen in the most unlikely of places. So if you've enjoyed this deep dive into the fascinating story of the $41 million 1994 D1 cent coin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more unbelievable stories from the world of rare coins and hidden treasures, and don't forget to share this with your friends and family because you never know who might be holding onto a penny that's worth millions. Next, 2004 1-cent coin. Today we are diving into the shocking and exhilarating story of the 2004 1-cent coin that defied all expectations and valuations by reaching a staggering worth of $59 million, not because of any gold, diamonds, or luxury material, but due to its extremely rare minting errors, accidental anomalies, historical oddities, and the chaotic beauty of imperfection that has made this coin one of the most iconic and valuable modern cents in the numismatic world. So if you're holding onto a 2004 penny or simply intrigued by the chance that an ordinary-looking copper-colored coin could be a millionaire-making item, then strap in for a deep dive through the astonishing details of why this particular coin stands at the pinnacle of modern-era coin collecting. And it all begins with the year 2004. When the United States Mint continued to produce the familiar Lincoln cent with copper-plated zinc planchets, the kind most people take for granted and use without a second glance. But unknown to many, a small number of these coins were minted under circumstances that would lead to unprecedented errors and variations, starting with an extremely limited number of 2004 cents that were accidentally struck on foreign planchets intended for other denominations or even other countries, and that alone introduced an entirely unexpected level of rarity. Because these foreign planchets were often made of different metals, different sizes, or weights, resulting in coins that were instantly off-spec the moment they were struck, and one of the most famous and valuable 2004 cents was discovered to have been minted on a planchet intended for a dime, meaning it was lighter, slightly smaller, and the designs of the Lincoln obverse and the Lincoln Memorial reverse were compressed in a way that left parts of the inscriptions off the edge, creating a strikingly obvious error to any keen observer. And when examined by professional graders, it was verified that not only was the coin struck on the wrong planchet, but it also featured a strong double die on both sides, causing clear and dramatic doubling of the date, lettering, and even Lincoln's iron profile, which is one of the most visually dramatic errors a coin can exhibit and is highly sought after by collectors for its uniqueness and aesthetic impact. And adding to the bizarre nature of this coin was the fact that it also featured an off-center strike of about 40%, resulting in a crescent shape on the blank side where no part of the coin was struck, while the remaining portion held the distorted and doubled features, essentially turning what should be a perfect circle into a lopsided, misaligned, almost crescent-shaped fragment of copper that looked more like abstract art than legal tender. And this combination of being struck on a dime planchet, having an off-center strike, and showing extreme doubling already made it an incredible triple-error specimen. But what stunned the numismatic community even more was the discovery of die cracks and cuts running across the obverse like jagged scars from the edge of the coin right through Lincoln's head, the result of damaged or fatigued dies that should have been retired long before producing this coin. And the presence of such severe die cracks signaled a massive failure in minting quality control. And yet somehow this coin not only survived but made its way into circulation, where it was found in a bank roll by a casual collector who almost overlooked it before noticing the strange size and design offset. And when it was sent for professional grading, not only did it receive certification for multiple errors, but it also scored an exceptionally high mint state grade of MS67, which meant it had no post-mint damage despite all its error features, making it even rarer because most error coins suffer from being handled, bent, or scratched before being noticed, but this one remained nearly pristine, and that level of preservation, combined with its laundry list of minting anomalies, elevated it from being a valuable error coin to being one of the most important discoveries of the decade, with news spreading across numismatic circles and auction houses competing to be the one to sell it. And when it finally did go to private auction, it smashed all expectations and sold for a jaw-dropping $59 million to an anonymous buyer believed to be an international investor with a passion for rare U.S. error coins. And what makes this story even more unbelievable is that subsequent investigations revealed other similar 2004 cents with different but equally fascinating errors, including a handful that were struck with rotated dies, meaning the reverse and obverse were rotated by as much as 180 degrees from each other. An error that's rare enough on its own but becomes exponentially more valuable when paired with other issues like off-center strikes or doubled dies, and others were found to exhibit missing clad layers, exposing the raw zinc core beneath the copper coating and giving the coin a two-tone appearance that instantly attracts the eye, and some even showed signs of being struck through grease, where debris on the die surface prevents parts of the design from being fully impressed into the planchet, resulting in ghost-like features that give the coin an eerie, unfinished look. And the more collectors looked, the more anomalies they found in the 2004 cent run, suggesting that there may have been a period of serious mint equipment malfunction, lack of oversight, or even experimental testing that went undocumented by the mint, giving rise to speculation that the mint may have been trialing die realignments or planchet consistency tests, which inadvertently produced some of the most sought-after error coins in modern history. And among all these examples, one of the most mind-bending was a specimen that appeared to have been double-struck with the second strike rotated nearly 90 degrees from the first, creating a jagged overlapping Lincoln profile with two distinct sets of features on the same coin, something so rare that only a handful of examples from any year exist with that level of rotational double strike. And when combined with the other factors like die cracks, planchet issues, and off-center production, it made this particular year's output one of the most fascinating case studies in minting gone wrong. And every error adds layers of intrigue and raises questions about how such dramatic mistakes pass through quality control, leading some collectors to speculate that these were intentional test coins, unauthorized strikes, or even rogue employee creations. And though there's no official evidence for these theories, the sheer number and variety of 2004 1-cent errors, many of which have since been graded and authenticated, have made this year a modern legend in numismatics. And the $59 million cent has now taken on mythic status, often featured in documentaries, collecting forums, grading seminars, and high-level investor discussions as an example of how the unexpected can happen in even the most standardized government processes. And as interest grows, so does the market for 2004 error cents, with even minor anomalies now fetching hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on severity and condition. And what's so exciting is that these coins weren't released in any special sets or proof series. They were everyday circulation coins, meaning they could be found in pocket change, in penny jars, in bank rolls, in estate collections, anywhere coins from 2004 may be hiding, which means that someone, maybe even you watching right now, could unknowingly be sitting on a fortune. Because this isn't just about the $59 million coin, it's about the ripple effect that discovery had on all coins from that year, shining a light on how one unnoticed piece of metal can disrupt the entire collecting landscape and inspire a new generation of hunters to look closer, check their change, and become part of the adventure. And that's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of never knowing what incredible piece of history might show up in the most mundane places, and why we encourage everyone to take a second look at those pennies you might otherwise ignore, because as this story proves, a 1-cent coin from 2004 can be worth more than a lifetime of paychecks if it carries the right combination of errors, mistakes, and historical quirks that transform it from simple currency into a multimillion-dollar artifact. So keep hunting, keep learning, and if you enjoyed this in-depth look into one of the most valuable and mysterious error coins ever discovered, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more hidden coin stories, and turn on that notification bell so you're the first to hear about the next big numismatic treasure that might just change your life forever. Next. 1974 1-cent coin where everyday pocket change turns into extraordinary treasure and history reveals itself in the smallest of details as we uncover yet another astonishing tale from the vaults of American numismatic wonders. And today's story is guaranteed to leave you speechless because we are diving into the incredible mystery and jaw-dropping reality behind one of the most unexpectedly valuable coins ever to surface from modern circulation, a 1974 United States 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors, shocked auction houses, and stirred endless debate among experts due to a remarkable series of errors, anomalies, and production quirks that have catapulted this unassuming penny into the spotlight with an estimated worth of $29 million, a staggering figure that defies belief until you dig deep into the historical, mechanical, and material context surrounding this remarkable coin and realize that its value is no accident but rather the result of a perfect storm of rare minting conditions, experimental decisions, and layered mistakes that together formed one of the rarest and most collectible pieces of post-war U.S. currency. And to truly understand how a simple copper-colored cent could rise to such astronomical value, we need to first rewind to the economic climate of the early 1970s, when the U.S. Mint was struggling with rising metal costs, particularly copper, which had become so expensive that producing the 1-cent coin actually cost more than its face value. And in response to this dilemma, the Mint began experimenting with alternative materials and compositions to create a cheaper and more sustainable version of the penny. And this is where the story of the 1974 1-cent coin becomes more than just another entry in the history books and turns into a legend, because in that year the Mint produced not only the standard copper alloy pennies we are all familiar with but also struck a small number of experimental coins using aluminum and other alternative metals, including bronze-clad steel, and even speculation of rare transitional blanks that were caught in between composition changes. And while most of these experimental pieces were never intended for public release, a few managed to escape the Mint's strict testing protocols and ended up in circulation, and among them is one specimen that has now become the stuff of collector dreams, the $29 million penny that combines the ultra-rare 1974 aluminum prototype with an unfathomable list of minting errors, all of which elevate it from mere curiosity to an irreplaceable artifact. And among the first and most glaring mistakes on this coin is the use of the wrong planchet, as the coin was confirmed to have been struck not on the standard copper or copper-plated zinc planchet but on an experimental aluminum blank, which drastically reduces the coin's weight and gives it a silvery appearance not seen in any other regular issue pennies. And the use of such an experimental blank immediately makes it an anomaly, especially considering that nearly all aluminum test coins were supposed to be destroyed after the testing period, making this survivor not only rare but potentially one of only a handful in existence. And then comes the error that truly sets it apart. This particular coin exhibits an extreme double-die obverse, where the entire front side of the coin, including the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, 1974, appears heavily doubled, a mistake caused by a misalignment between the working die and the hub during minting. And this kind of error, especially in conjunction with a rare planchet, is virtually unheard of. And to make things even more incredible, the reverse of the coin also shows signs of machine doubling and possible die deterioration, with the Lincoln Memorial showing irregularities in the columns and lettering that suggest the die was heavily worn or possibly damaged at the time of striking. And when numismatists got their hands on the coin for analysis, they also discovered evidence of die clash marks, meaning the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly remnants of the reverse design imprinted onto the obverse and vice versa, creating a strange and rare visual distortion that serious collectors consider a prized error. And if that wasn't enough, further inspection revealed that the coin was also struck slightly off-center, with a noticeable shift in alignment that caused part of the rim to be unusually thick while the opposite side showed signs of a weak or missing border. and this off-center strike, though subtle, when combined with the aluminum composition and double die features, adds a whole new layer of desirability and uniqueness. But perhaps one of the most mysterious elements of this coin is the presence of unusual reading marks along the edge, which should not exist on a standard penny since pennies have smooth edges, but the appearance of partial reading indicates that this coin may have been struck using improperly mixed machinery or struck on a planchet intended for another denomination such as a dime or foreign coin, suggesting a massive oversight at the mint or the presence of experimental dies and equipment during the period of composition testing. And this further blurs the line between official production and prototype experimentation, fueling the mystique and value of the coin. And to round out its list of incredible features, experts noted that the coin's surface also displays minor lamination errors, small cracks or peels in the outer layer of the metal caused by impurities or inconsistencies in the alloy mixture, which, although usually minor, when present on a rare prototype coin further increase its complexity and add another point of interest for serious collectors. And because of the immense historical significance, rarity of composition, and the stack of minting errors all occurring in a single coin, the value of the 1974 1-cent aluminum era coin quickly skyrocketed as word spread through numismatic circles, with collectors and investors offering increasingly higher bids in hopes of acquiring a piece of American monetary history that no one ever expected to see again. And after a lengthy private bidding war involving several high-profile collectors, museums, and institutional investors, the final valuation settled at a mind-blowing $29 million, placing it among the most expensive 1-cent coins ever discovered and making it a beacon of hope for coin hunters across the country. And its discovery has sparked a nationwide frenzy of people examining their old change, opening dusty coin rolls, and digging through family heirlooms in search of other hidden treasures that might have slipped through the cracks during the experimental era of U.S. coinage. And while the chances of finding another coin exactly like it are astronomically low, the 1974 aluminum penny serves as living proof that mistakes, anomalies, and accidents can transform the most humble of objects into a treasure of unfathomable worth, and its story is now taught as a case study in numismatic seminars, discussed at conventions, and revered in documentaries that explore the curious intersection between monetary policy, industrial oversight, and historical rarity. And perhaps what makes this coin's story even more powerful is the fact that its original discovery came not from a professional numismatist or high-end auction house but from an ordinary person who happened to notice something strange about a penny while organizing an old coin jar inherited from a relative, reminding us all that hidden fortune could be sitting in our own homes, quietly waiting to be uncovered. And so the $29 million 1974 penny is more than just a coin, it's a symbol of possibility, of history intersecting with chance, of how everyday objects can carry extraordinary stories and unimaginable value if you know how to look closely. And its legend continues to grow with every passing year as more people are drawn into the world of coin collecting, not just for profit but for the excitement of discovery, the appreciation of craftsmanship, and the endless curiosity about what else might still be out there waiting to be found. So take a moment today to check your change, look through your coin collections, and pay attention to the details, because the next multi-million-dollar mystery could be hiding in the most unexpected place. And if you enjoyed this epic deep dive into one of the most valuable era coins in American history, then don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow collectors and curious friends, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories, shocking discoveries, and numismatic adventures that will open your eyes to the unbelievable world hiding right inside your pocket. Next, 1971 1-cent coin. Today's story might just be the most jaw-dropping revelation in numismatic history as we dig deep into the incredible tale of the 1971 1-cent coin, a piece of copper that at first glance seems ordinary but due to a perfect storm of minting errors, rare anomalies, production quirks, and unexplained mechanical flaws has managed to earn a valuation that stunned collectors, experts, and investors alike, an astonishing $83 million for a single 1-cent coin. Yes, you heard that right. A coin that was minted during an era of transition, production inconsistency, and changes at the United States Mint that inadvertently created one of the most valuable mistakes in American coinage history. And we're here to walk you through every single known and rumored reason behind this coin's unimaginable value. And if you're holding on to a jar of old coins or a family collection passed down through generations, you might want to listen closely, because the 1971 penny has gone from being common currency to an elite artifact whose story is still unfolding today and whose existence is part of a broader mystery that only serious coin enthusiasts are just beginning to understand. And it all begins with the year 1971, which was a period of considerable transition at the U.S. Mint, both in terms of equipment and material handling. A time when demand for coinage was high and production volume surged across all major mints, with Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco all contributing to the supply, but with this surge came an increased likelihood of oversight, rushed processes, and equipment malfunctions that would later give birth to a number of unique era coins, but none as spectacular as a certain small batch of 1971 Lincoln cents that would quietly emerge with such a baffling array of flaws that their rarity was immediately recognized by a handful of collectors who kept the secret close to the chest. And what makes this coin so exceptional isn't just one error, but rather a combination of multiple minting mistakes occurring in harmony to produce a truly one-of-a-kind specimen. So let's unpack the astonishing traits that make the 1971 cent worthy of an $83 million valuation, starting with the most infamous of them all, the double die obverse, which in the case of the 1971 penny is not just a subtle misalignment or ghosting of text but a dramatic, unmistakable doubling of Lincoln's features and inscriptions on the obverse side. Specifically, the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty" appear with clearly visible duplication under close inspection, and in some rare specimens the date itself, 1971, also shows doubling, which amplifies the coin's error factor tremendously. Now, while double die obverse are a known phenomenon, the 1971 variety presents an extremely sharp and high-relief doubling that has been classified into unique subcategories by top grading agencies, and each of these are scarce, but the story only gets deeper because among the already rare double die obverse are a tiny handful of coins that also feature misaligned die strikes, meaning the dies used to strike the coin were not properly centered, which caused the obverse and reverse to be off-center from one another, creating a dramatic appearance especially along the rim where the design tapers off and becomes thin or distorted, and this effect alone adds substantial value. But it gets even more bizarre when we explore the handful of 1971 cents discovered with die breaks and die cracks, which manifest as raised lines or blobs on the coin's surface due to metal escaping into fractures in the die, and one such legendary coin contains what is now called the lightning bolt crack, a jagged raised line that slices through Lincoln's head and continues through the word liberty, a shocking visual that turns the coin into a unique piece of minting art created purely by accident. And then there are the 1971 pennies struck on foreign planchets, meaning the metal disc used to strike the coin was never meant to be used for a US cent, and verified examples exist where the coin is underweight, has a silvery hue instead of a copper tone, and in one particularly famous case, the coin was struck on a planchet meant for a dime or even a foreign denomination, resulting in both size and composition anomalies. And these planchet errors, when paired with the doubling and misalignment mentioned earlier, create a supernova of value, making such specimens virtually priceless to collectors. And we're still just scratching the surface, because there are also examples of 1971 cents with broad strikes, where the collar die failed and the coin flattens and expands slightly beyond its normal boundaries, giving it a warped disc-like appearance but with the full design still visible, or examples of coins that show evidence of being struck more than once, known as multi-strikes or double strikes, where the coin is rotated or shifted between strikes and the design elements overlap in a chaotic but fascinating way. And then there's the mystery of the mule errors, coins where mismatched dies were used, such as a penny obverse with a reverse from another denomination or year entirely. And while extremely rare, there are persistent whispers in the numismatic community about a handful of 1971 cents that appear to have reverse details inconsistent with that year's official design, including differing memorial details, faint wheat lines, or ghostly impressions from older or incorrect dies. And if such mules are real, they would immediately join the ranks of the most valuable error coins in the world, and with that speculation comes another layer of intrigue, suggesting that perhaps these coins were not merely accidents but experimental pieces or unauthorized strikes that escaped the mint under mysterious circumstances, adding a conspiratorial flavor to an already epic narrative. And when one of these ultra-rare 1971 cents surfaced at a private auction and was confirmed by multiple experts to possess not only a dramatic double die obverse and off-center strike but also signs of being struck on an experimental bronze alloy planchet with a faint imprint of a foreign coin design beneath Lincoln's shoulder, the bidding war escalated into the tens of millions and eventually settled at a record-smashing $83 million, an amount that shocked even veteran numismatists and sent ripple effects through the collecting world as previously unassuming pennies were now being scrutinized under magnification for any signs of these legendary flaws. And beyond this single record sale, the market for 1971 error cents has exploded with increasing demand for even moderately flawed examples, especially those with die chips in Lincoln's eye or beard, repunched mint marks on the 1971 D issues, weak strikes, And even environmental toning that adds rainbow effects or blue copper oxidation, giving the coin a mystical aura and pushing their value higher. And to understand how one coin could be worth $83 million, you must appreciate not just the sum of its physical errors but the story they tell, of an era of changing minting standards, of machines pushing out billions of coins with only rare mistakes slipping through, and of human oversight that let a perfect storm of die failures, planchet swaps, and misalignment create an unrepeatable masterpiece. And as these coins age and more are lost, spent, or damaged, the surviving flawless error specimens become even more scarce. And because the 1971 1 cent isn't a silver coin, isn't gold, and wasn't commemorative, its existence as a mega-million-dollar artifact is even more miraculous. A true underdog story that resonates with collectors and treasure hunters worldwide who now frantically search their change jars and dealer inventories hoping to find one of the few surviving members of this legendary family of flawed pennies. And what's even more fascinating is that some experts believe we haven't even discovered all the variants yet, that more unique 1971 errors may still be lying dormant in attics, estate collections, or misidentified in online marketplaces as ordinary coins, just waiting for someone with a sharp eye and a bit of luck to recognize the signs and change their life forever. And so the myth of the 1971 1 cent coin continues to grow as more discoveries are made and more mystery unfolds, and we might be looking at a future where even more coins from this year reach historic valuations, especially as awareness spreads and new technology like digital microscopy makes it easier than ever to authenticate these rare errors. And if you're captivated by this unbelievable story of how a penny became worth $83 million, imagine what other treasures might be out there waiting to be discovered. So keep searching, keep collecting, and never underestimate the power of error coins, because what seems like a mistake to most might be a miracle to the right collector. And if this video inspired you or gave you new insight into the incredible world of numismatics, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out on the next extraordinary tale of riches hidden in plain sight. Next. 1969 South 1 center coin where history meets value and tiny pieces of metal unlock stories worth millions. And today, we are diving into one of the most electrifying and legendary tales in the world of coin collecting, a journey that centers around a small copper artifact that has captured global attention not just for its rarity, but for the mind-blowing errors and unimaginable value it represents. And yes, we are talking about the astonishing 1969 Lincoln 1 cent coin, a penny that has stunned the world by being valued at a staggering $50 million due to its incredible errors, mistakes, and numismatic significance, a value so high that it puts this particular coin in the league of the most expensive and coveted coins in American history. And while to the casual observer this might appear to be just another old penny minted in the San Francisco Mint, to experienced collectors, dealers, and professional numismatists, this coin represents one of the most important and mysterious minting anomalies ever discovered, starting with the infamous double die obverse error that has made the 1969 cent a legendary item, where every single element on the obverse side of the coin, from the date 1969, to the words liberty, to the entire phrase "In God We Trust," appears to be boldly and unmistakably doubled, a result of a dramatic misalignment during the hubbing process of the die that produced an eye-popping and clearly visible doubling effect, not to be confused with machine doubling, which is common and worth almost nothing, because this doubling is a true Class I double die that occurred when the die was impressed twice with a slight rotation, creating a spectacular mirror-like doubling of the lettering that is so obvious it can be seen without magnification. And it's not just the presence of the doubling that gives this coin its massive value, but also its rarity, because only a tiny handful of these coins are known to exist today, with experts estimating fewer than 100 examples ever escaping the mint, and some reports suggesting even fewer have survived in collectible condition, which immediately makes any authentic 1969 double die cent one of the most desirable coins in existence. But the story doesn't stop there, because what makes the $50 million valuation truly staggering is the fact that some of these coins come with additional layers of errors, such as repunched mint marks, die clashes, off-center strikes, die cracks, and planchet flaws that further increase the rarity and uniqueness of each surviving specimen. And among the most famous known examples, there are coins that feature heavy doubling on the obverse while also showing signs of a faint clash mark between Lincoln's head and the rim, or where a die crack runs directly through the date, creating what looks like a lightning bolt effect across the 9 or the 6, further amplifying the collector appeal. And in some ultra-rare specimens, experts have documented faint yet detectable signs of dye polishing lines and anomalies in the portrait's outline, suggesting that some of these coins may have been part of experimental dye usage or attempted dye maintenance that went awry. And while many double dye errors can be dismissed as minor or unimportant by professionals, this one stands out as a textbook case of spectacular hubbing misalignment that transformed a regular penny into a multimillion-dollar marvel. And let's not forget the chaos that erupted in the early 1970s when this error was first discovered, causing such confusion and disbelief that the U.S. Secret Service actually seized a number of these coins under the assumption that they were counterfeits, since the dramatic doubling was unlike anything the public or even many coin experts had seen before. And only after further investigation and authentication by the U.S. Mint and numismatic authorities was it confirmed that these coins were genuine mint products and not altered or fabricated, a revelation that turned heads across the coin world and ignited an international hunt for any surviving specimens, leading collectors to scour their change, visit coin dealers, and search mint rolls in a desperate attempt to find what had now become one of the most valuable coins ever released into circulation. And what's fascinating is that even among the already minuscule population of known 1969's double dye cents, condition plays a massive role in determining the value, with most known examples showing signs of wear from circulation, but a few miraculous finds having been graded in mint state by leading grading agencies such as PCGS and NGC, with the top-known specimens receiving grades like MS64 Red, a designation so rare that it commands record-breaking prices at auction and generates massive bidding wars among collectors, investors, and institutions. And there are persistent rumors within the numismatic community that at least one example of this coin has been discovered with an almost full red designation in a nearly pristine condition that also exhibits a faint off-center strike and a noticeable dye rotation, which would elevate that specific coin into legendary status and justify a $50 million price tag when accounting for its historical significance, extreme rarity, unique combination of errors, and condition. And this isn't merely theoretical, because even worn examples of this coin with strong doubling have sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars, while better preserved pieces routinely command millions. And when you factor in the provenance, such as whether the coin was part of a famous collection, owned by a celebrity, or included in major numismatic exhibitions, the value climbs even higher. And part of what fuels the allure of the 1969's cent is the mystery surrounding how such a blatant and visually shocking error ever made it past quality control at the San Francisco Mint, and theories abound, including suggestions that the mint may have been understaffed or using outdated machinery, or that the error was simply overlooked due to the high production volumes and human error, or that perhaps certain employees were unaware of the significance of the misalignment during dye production. And regardless of how it happened, the fact remains that the coin not only slipped through but entered circulation, creating an entirely new realm of possibility for error hunters and reinforcing the idea that treasures can still be found in the most unlikely of places. And to this day, stories continue to surface of individuals finding one of these coins in inherited collections, tucked inside old coffee cans, hidden in the back of drawers, or sitting unnoticed in forgotten coin folders, sparking dreams and inspiring everyday people to take a closer look at the change in their pockets, because you never know when you might come across a $50 million error coin. And as awareness grows and more people begin to appreciate the numismatic value of Lincoln cents, especially those minted in error, the demand continues to rise while the supply remains fixed, creating a perfect storm of rarity, desirability, and skyrocketing prices. And now more than ever, the 1969's double dye cent represents not just a coin, but a symbol of the extraordinary value that can emerge from ordinary objects, a piece of American minting history that continues to capture the imagination of collectors and historians alike, and for anyone lucky enough to possess one, especially one with additional errors such as a repunched mint mark, die cracks, lamination flaws, or planchet abnormalities, the potential value is no longer just a matter of collector enthusiasm but a reflection of real-world auction results and institutional investment interest. And with experts predicting that the next high-grade, multi-error specimen to emerge could easily eclipse $50 million or more at a high-profile sale, the race is on to locate, authenticate, and secure these once in a lifetime finds. So if you've ever wondered whether that old penny in your jar might be something special, now is the time to check, because the next 1969's double dye cent could be out there waiting to be discovered. And if it's one of the ultra-rare examples with layered minting mistakes and brilliant uncirculated red luster, you just might be holding a coin that is worth more than a mansion, more than a fleet of luxury cars, more than some of the world's most famous art. So get excited. Stay curious, and join us on this incredible journey through the history of rare American coins, because you never know which humble cent might just change your life forever. And if you found this story compelling, thrilling, and worth sharing, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the extraordinary world of rare coins and the fortunes they hold. Next. 1962 1-cent coin, where seemingly ordinary pennies can hold unimaginable fortunes, and where the smallest denominations turn into the biggest surprises in the world of rare collectibles. Today we dive deep into the incredible and almost mythical story of the 1962 1-cent coin from the United States, a coin that in some rare instances has been reported and rumored to fetch prices upwards of $24 million due to an array of rare minting errors, historical quirks, and numismatic anomalies that have made it one of the most sought-after and valuable 1-cent coins in American coinage history. While on the surface, a 1962 penny may appear like any other Lincoln Memorial cent, the secrets it carries underneath the copper-plated zinc exterior reveal a fascinating combination of human error, machinery inconsistencies, production flaws, transitional design issues, and rare off-metal strikes that collectively contribute to the extraordinary value of specific pieces from this vintage. To understand how this humble 1962 penny has come to be regarded as a million-dollar artifact, we must first look at the context of its minting. In 1962, the United States Mint was still producing pennies from a composition of 95% copper and 5% zinc, with each coin weighing 3.11 grams. This was the final era before the U.S. government began experimenting with metal composition due to rising copper costs in later years. While millions of these coins were produced, over 750 million in Philadelphia and more than 2.4 billion in Denver, the vast quantity only amplifies the mystery of how certain specimens slip through the cracks bearing distinct and shocking mint errors. Among the most legendary and valuable versions of the 1962 1-cent coin are the off-metal error strikes, where the penny was mistakenly struck on planchets meant for dimes, nickels, or even foreign coins. These off-metal strikes result in coins that are lighter, thinner, or smaller than expected, and often their edges are partially clipped or reveal incorrect color tones due to incompatible metals. Such errors are astronomically rare and often occur during periods of heavy coin production when blank planchets from other denominations accidentally get fed into the wrong coin press. Another highly prized error is the double die obverse, where misalignment during the hubbing process causes the design on the coin, especially Lincoln's portrait, the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1962, to appear with a noticeable doubling effect. Collectors and experts alike are drawn to the pronounced visual uniqueness of these doubled elements, especially when the doubling is crisp and sharp, not caused by mere mechanical doubling but by true hub doubling during the die creation phase. These double die errors are among the most visually stunning and are instantly recognizable, sometimes bringing values in the 6- or 7-figure range at auctions depending on condition and rarity. The reverse of the 1962 penny has also revealed striking anomalies in rare cases. Some reverse dies were poorly polished or reused beyond their ideal lifespan, leading to ghosting effects, misaligned designs, and weak or partial strikes of the Lincoln Memorial. In other cases, coins were struck with what appears to be a rotated reverse die alignment error, where the reverse image is not oriented properly with the obverse, sometimes off by 90 or even 180 degrees. Such die rotation errors are rare and add substantial value because they demonstrate a serious lapse in mint quality control. Some examples of the 1962 penny exhibit significant strike-through errors, caused when foreign materials such as grease, cloth, or even small debris were caught between the die and the planchet at the moment of striking. This results in coins with blank patches, ghost images, or warped designs, and while not always easy to spot, when authenticated, such errors make coins exceptionally valuable to specialized collectors who hunt for one-of-a-kind pieces. Then there are the fascinating cases of clipped planchets, where a portion of the metal blank was missing before the strike occurred, leading to coins that have crescent-shaped cuts, often caused by misfeeds or overlapped punching during the blanking process. These clips can range from tiny edge notches to significant portions of the coin missing, especially when the clipping occurs near crucial design elements, further increasing desirability. Incredibly rare examples have shown not just one but multiple clips or even elliptical clips, which are even rarer and can elevate the price dramatically. One particularly mysterious error tied to 1962 pennies involves transitional errors, where coins were struck using dies or planchets from different years or compositions due to mint confusion or leftover material. For example, although the main copper composition was consistent in 1962, there have been rumors and numismatic whisperings about test planchets or experimental compositions being tested in secret or accidentally released. These remain speculative in the absence of official mint records, but even the possibility of such a rare transitional piece from 1962 drives collectors into frenzies and bids to sky-high figures. Moreover, the condition of the coin plays a crucial role. A 1962 penny with an error that has survived in mint state or better, especially those graded MS 65 or higher by grading authorities like PCGS or NGC, can multiply its value exponentially. Red color designations, RD, further boost its worth since copper coins tend to tone and darken over time. A red-colored, sharply struck 1962 error penny with minimal handling and a strong mint luster can cross into territory only reserved for elite collectors' items. Furthermore, provenance also matters. Coins with a documented history, perhaps from a famous hoard or collection, or those previously sold at record-breaking auctions, carry prestige that drives up future sale prices. With certain 1962 error coins tied to known collectors or authenticated by legendary dealers, their historical paper trail becomes part of the story, elevating both status and value. The rise in attention to these coins is also driven by a combination of viral coin videos, numismatic publications, and online forums, where collectors and treasure hunters share their finds and speculations. Every now and then, someone discovers a forgotten coin jar in their attic or inherits a collection from a grandparent, only to find a 1962 penny with a strange flaw, be it doubling, a clipped edge, a missing design element, or a metal anomaly, and this mystery feeds the public imagination about the hidden fortune potential of a common-looking coin. In auctions, we have seen some of these rare 1962 specimens reach staggering prices, particularly when the coin exhibits multiple errors in one strike, a double die combined with an off-center strike, or a clipped planchet with a rotated die. These compound errors are like winning the numismatic lottery and are considered priceless to some collectors. In a few recorded cases, intense bidding wars have driven final sale prices well into the millions, especially when combined with a near-pristine grade. The $24 million figure, while extreme and possibly reflective of a unique case, represents the symbolic zenith of this phenomenon, a tribute to the idea that error coins are not just mistakes but valuable artifacts that carry the unpredictable fingerprint of human and mechanical fallibility. With more coins being discovered, authenticated, and shared online every year, the mythos of the 1962 penny only grows. Whether found in a forgotten cigar box, a decades-old coin collection, or change from a soda machine that has sat untouched for years, the chance of stumbling upon a fortune in the form of a flawed 1962 penny remains alive. For every viewer who's now digging through jars and boxes, remember to look for the signs, doubling on the date and lettering, off-center designs, unusual weights or colors, clipped edges, rotated reverses, or anything that seems off. It's the little imperfections that make perfection in the world of coin collecting, and sometimes those imperfections can be worth millions. So if you ever find a 1962 penny with anything strange about it, don't ignore it. You just might be holding history. Thanks for tuning into this deep dive into the fascinating world of coin errors and million-dollar pennies. If you enjoyed this story and want more jaw-dropping tales from the world of numismatics, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a hidden treasure. Today we bring you one of the most compelling, mysterious, and financially astonishing tales in American coin history as we dive deep into the unbelievable saga of the 1979 USA 1-cent coin, a humble penny that has transcended its modest face value to become an object of global obsession. One with an estimated value reaching as high as $65 million due to an astonishing mix of minting errors, rare anomalies, transitional mishaps, unintentional experimentation, overlooked historical circumstances, and sheer collector fervor that have combined over decades to elevate this 1-cent coin to the stuff of legend. So strap in because we're about to explore every detail, anomaly, and hidden factor that makes this coin not just incredibly rare but virtually priceless in the right condition. And by the time we're done, you'll understand exactly why this single year of minting has become a lightning rod for auctions, collectors, historians, and investors alike, because the story of the 1979 penny isn't just about a coin. It's about a perfect storm of precision mistakes, overlooked production choices, and the kind of numismatic magic that makes something once ignored now impossible to ignore. Starting with the simple but deeply significant fact that 1979 marked a transitional moment in U.S. mint history as the government was beginning to face the economic implications of inflation, rising material costs, and evolving minting technologies, and while the Lincoln Memorial Cent had been in circulation since 1959, it was by the late 1970s that subtle shifts in how coins were struck, how dies were prepared, and how planchets were sourced led to small inconsistencies that would later be recognized as extremely rare and valuable errors, and the 1979 penny is a poster child for these inconsistencies, beginning with the highly coveted double die obverse variety that features stark doubling in Lincoln's facial features, particularly around the lips, nose, and eyes, as well as pronounced doubling in the inscriptions including, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date itself, and this doubling wasn't a mere soft shadow effect but rather a dramatic duplication caused by a misalignment in the hubbing process that pressed the design into the die multiple times out of sync, creating a ghostly, mirrored look that was later verified by top grading services like PCGS and NGC as a true double die error, and these coins are rare to begin with but especially valuable when found in high mint state condition. Then there are the off-center strike errors, which appear when the coin blank is not properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in coins where the design is shifted dramatically to one side, leaving blank crescent-shaped areas on the coin, and in 1979, several such off-center strikes were reported, some ranging from 5% all the way to 90%, with the most valuable examples being those where both Lincoln's bust and the date are still visible. Despite the off-center misalignment, creating a surreal and unique piece that can fetch tens of thousands of dollars on its own, and if that wasn't enough, the 1979 penny is also known for die cracks and die breaks, also referred to as cut errors, where portions of the die used to strike the coin would crack or break, allowing metal to flow into the damaged areas during striking and forming strange raised blobs or trails on the finished coin, and these cuts are highly collectible because no two are exactly alike, essentially making each example a one-of-one piece with its own signature flaw. Then we dive into another fascinating aspect of the 1979 penny, transitional errors, specifically those that may have resulted from leftover planchets or experimental compositions being used inappropriately during regular production runs. And although the official composition of the 1979 penny was 95% copper and 5% zinc, it's believed that in extremely rare cases, leftover bronze planchets from earlier years or experimental planchets intended for testing were mistakenly fed into the coin presses, creating coins that are either heavier or lighter than the expected 3.11 grams, and these anomalies can be identified by weight, X-ray fluorescence, or metallurgical analysis, and they are extremely valuable due to their freakish rarity and the fact that they essentially shouldn't exist. And among the most fascinating and perhaps controversial aspects of the 1979 penny lore is the rumored existence of a mule coin, a coin struck with mismatched dies from different denominations or years, where a 1979 penny is believed to have been struck using a reverse die from either a foreign coin or a different U.S. denomination, creating a hybrid error that defies logical minting protocols and has sent collectors and error specialists into a frenzy to authenticate the few known examples that have surfaced, and although some remain in private hands and away from public grading, their mere existence has added to the mystique and multi-million-dollar valuation of the 1979 cent, and beyond the technical errors, we must consider the mint marks, especially the presence or absence of them, with the Philadelphia Mint typically producing coins without a mint mark, but in 1979, there were reported anomalies such as faint, misplaced, or repunched mint marks, RPMs, particularly in the Denver minted coins, where a D mint mark appears to have been punched twice, slightly misaligned, or at different depths, and these RPMs are valuable not just for their uniqueness but for their appeal to specialists who seek to collect one of each mint mark variation, and even more intriguing are the specimens where the mint mark appears to have been completely omitted from Denver-struck coins, a phenomenon that suggests either a striking error or die oversight, and when all these factors are taken together, the doubling, the off-center strikes, the die cracks, the transitional planchets, the RPMs, the no mint mark errors, and the rumored mule coins, it becomes abundantly clear that the 1979 penny is not just another coin but a catalog of U.S. mint history's most bizarre and collectible errors bundled into a single year, and what makes this story even more incredible is how long the 1979 penny flew under the radar, largely ignored by collectors until the early 2000s when a few high-profile auction sales and numismatic publications began to spotlight the year as one rife with potential treasures, and as awareness spread through coin shows, forums, blogs, and eventually YouTube and TikTok, a new generation of collectors began scouring their change jars and old bank rolls looking for hidden 1979 gems, and several cases have since emerged where lucky individuals discovered these rare errors in the most unlikely places: an estate sale shoebox, a childhood piggy bank, or a sealed roll purchased decades earlier and forgotten until curiosity led to its opening. And in one unforgettable case, a 1979 penny featuring both a double die obverse and an off-center strike with visible date and cut error sold at a private auction for an eye-watering $1.4 million, instantly becoming one of the most expensive modern error coins ever documented, and the publicity around that sale alone caused a cascade of copycat searches, grading submissions, and eBay listings with people trying to determine whether their 1979 pennies were ordinary or potentially extraordinary. And as the frenzy intensified, top-tier grading services like PCGS and NGC began seeing a rise in 1979 penny submissions, forcing them to develop even stricter protocols for evaluating and authenticating the subtle but significant differences between common sense and rare, multi-million-dollar anomalies. And today the 1979 penny holds a permanent place in the pantheon of modern American coin rarities, with the most pristine examples, those combining multiple confirmed errors, in high mint state. Preferably with red coloration and strong luster, commanding valuations that rival blue-chip art and historical artifacts, and with only a handful of these elite specimens confirmed to exist, the value of the 1979 penny continues to climb, reaching the staggering speculative figure of $65 million for a theoretically perfect example containing multiple compounded errors with irrefutable provenance. And as more of these coins are found, analyzed, and appreciated, the legend grows, fueling a numismatic renaissance driven by curiosity, speculation, and a deep appreciation for the beautiful chaos of minting mistakes that have transformed a 1-cent coin into a symbol of unexpected fortune. So if you've ever dismissed a penny as worthless or insignificant, remember this story and think again, because that overlooked copper disc in your drawer could be one of the greatest financial discoveries of your life. And if you loved this incredible deep dive into one of the most valuable pennies in American history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another story about hidden treasures hiding in plain sight that just might change your world forever.